let's do our quarterback rankings. You ready?
Okay, so we're going to go 1 through 10 of veterans, and then veterans can include guys on rookie deals, and then we'll do rookie deal rankings after.
Do that. You can go first.
Do you just want me to rattle off 10?
Rattle them off.
All right, I got Mahomes 1. I have 2 through 4. These are interchangeable, but I will separate them. Brady, Rodgers, Wilson, 2, 3, 4. I left off Deshaun Watson because I don't think he's going to play for a while.
Actually.
Josh Allen 5, Dak Prescott 6, Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins tied for 7, 8. Let's go with Matt Ryan at 7, Kirk Cousins at 8. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson 9, 10.
So can you go over that? I want to make sure I have this down so I can tell where I'm different.
So Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Wilson, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson.
We're going to be a little different, thankfully. Thank God.
Who do you have Cousins higher or lower than me?
I have Cousins a little lower than you.
Wait a second. I thought I'm a hater. I have Cousins at 8, folks. I think he's earned it, don't you think?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I'll talk about that in a second. I also left Deshaun Watson off the list because it didn't. Problem is if I ignore that and I put him 2, that just feels wrong. And if I try and factor it in, it also is me doing something that isn't my job. So I left him out. I went Mahomes 1 as well. I went Brady and Rodgers 2 and 3. I thought those were interchangeable. And at number 4, I really struggled here because I do think Russell Wilson should be 4. But man, I put Josh Allen ahead of him. And the reason I put Josh Allen ahead of him is Russell Wilson takes so many sacks, man. He takes so many sacks. I don't think that offense is going to tailor as well to what Russell Wilson does as I think the Bills will this year. And I love what the Bills offense did. I know it's a lot of like supporting cast stuff, but I'm just saying, like, ultimately, when I look back on the season, I believe Josh Allen is going to play better than Russell Wilson. Period. I put Russell Wilson then at 5. I have Dak Prescott at 6.
So wait, we have one flip of 1 bit in the first 6.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. But yeah. All right, I don't hate. Obviously I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there. So Josh Allen 4, Russell Wilson 5. At 6, this one was a little tricky. I ultimately put Prescott there because I think he's a better passer than any of these other guys. And I think that matters a ton, obviously. So I went Prescott. Then I went with, again, and then like having second thoughts looking at it again. So I was really torn here. I wanted to go Lamar Jackson. And I also thought about some of the veterans. I ultimately put Lamar Jackson there, and I felt like that was right. I think Lamar Jackson could have put him higher, and people wouldn't have blinked an eye. I think you could put him lower, and people wouldn't have batted an eye either. But to me, Lamar Jackson deserves to be next. Then I went, and this one is where you might be, hey, like what's going on here? I then went with Ryan Tannehill. And I just had to look at his grading and go, man, he's been really good.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't grade that well this year, then we'll know, right? Like why it was. But he makes great throws. And all of the guys on this list have good schemes. So I went with Ryan Tannehill, and then to round it out, because I believe I'm at 10 here, even though I forgot to actually number these, I went with Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
And I left Cousins off.
I sort of think of Ryan, Cousins. I think of Ryan as a slightly better version of Tannehill. And I think if he can't blow up with Arthur Smith, then obviously I'm wrong. I think Tannehill has played tremendous the last year and a half. But it's hard for me to get the last part of the Miami part out of my head. I think Cousins is a good quarterback who can't, like, he's just not good enough that sort of shows you again, like the fact that Mayfield and Jackson probably have a ways to go to earn that deal. And neither one, like when Deshaun signed his deal and Prescott signed his deal and Mahomes signed his deal, I don't think, other than maybe a small hint of Prescott, any of us said, oh no, that's going to be tough for them to keep. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of us said that. Cousins is I think the line right there, right? So the fact that I have Mayfield and Jackson just a hair behind them, like, I don't think, I don't know. It also could just be like, I literally looked at what I put down for the point spreads, and I honestly weigh previous years a little bit more than some people. So like with Tannehill, it was just that, he's not a starter behind Mariota for half the season. Last season was great, but not quite as good as the year before, honestly, if you look at his efficiency and stuff. So like, you really have that half year in Tennessee where he was in the conversation. Like if he plays like that in perpetuity, he's in the top 5, right? Like, for sure. So I just need to see it one more year. But that brings up sort of an interesting one here. So when we look at rookie contract quarterbacks, I think both of us then have Allen sort of a tier by himself, right? And then both of us have Mayfield and Jackson kind of in a cluster after that.
Yep.
Then where are you going? Because I go Herbert by himself as the 4th guy.
Oh,
I do. And I think and maybe I'm scarred from, Allen and Herbert from but I think when you look at like the arm strength, you look at like some of the, the accuracy in the case of Herbert for sure. Last season, you look at like sort of like the ceiling is there for Herbert, right? And then after that, I think I go Burrow and Murray kind of in a cluster together. And then after that, I go with the 3 top guys drafted. Well, no, sorry. The 3 guys that should have been drafted, top 3. I go with Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, kind of in a cluster there. Lance by himself, Hurts, Darnold, Tagovailoa together, and then Locke.
I think we're the same except in the middle there. And I will have Herbert ahead of those guys, but barely. I think it's a cluster. And I was getting back to the Cousins point. Like, one of the things that I think about with these quarterbacks is do we have experience of this guy being a leader of a football team where his team plays well around him? And I just don't think we've seen that from Kirk Cousins. We have not. When I look at, Joe Burrow, and that's clearly something that he's got, and it matters. Now, that is not the only thing. Obviously, the most important thing is that he throws the football really accurately.
Yep.
And so, where you look at Justin Herbert and you go, Justin Herbert had a better pass rating under pressure than he did when he was clean. And you look at Joe Burrow and you go, man, this guy played with nobody last year and was actually pretty damn good. That matters. I think they're right there. And I think Kyler, the reason I would have Kyler just a hair ahead of, I think, both those guys, honestly, is if I look at Kyler Murray, there is something about him that is a cheat code that I'm not sure those other guys have. I think those other guys on average could be better because Kyler's got a little more variance. But Kyler Murray, in terms of ceiling, to me, is above both those guys. And then I'm aligned with you going past that point. Those and the rookies, and then ultimately landing on Drew Lock at the very bottom.
Yeah, Darnold is still on his rookie deal. I sort of put him. I mean, I think with Tua, you're going to have to, like, I'm a sell on Tua until further notice. I put him in sort of that Hurts Darnold camp. But obviously, with all the weapons that Miami is quietly sort of putting themselves in a position to be talked about, at least with Buffalo. I don't know about with Cleveland and Baltimore. But if Tua, I wouldn't be surprised if Tua had a great season this year. But I think I still think his median projection is pretty low. But Locke is obviously the worst one of the bunch. But it looks like, again, this is interesting, right? Because I know our friend Justice Mosqueda messaged me, I think about a year and a half ago, but he said, it's like, look at when you think about Dak, think about the quarterbacks that are going to be gone pretty soon, right? And we've already seen with Roethlisberger, we saw it with Luck. You sort of Brady, maybe even Rodgers soon. Like once those guys are gone, and you're looking at, and then Matt Ryan, and you're looking at the crop of quarterbacks, and it's going to be Mahomes, Wilson, seems to hit on Allen here, Prescott, and then it's a bunch of guys who are sort of either or, right? Mm-hmm. And like we look at this quarterback group, and I mean, we got to see at least, if you're a Chiefs fan, it makes you kind of happy. But you look at this group of quarterbacks, you need to see at least 2 or 3 hit, right, to get us into a position where we've been the last like 10 years in the NFL, where there's a lot of good quarterbacks and a lot of like undisputed ones.
I'm not worried about it. I think there will be. I think obviously both of us would take Allen as the guy leading that pack with a chance to do it. But, there will be a couple that I'm confident are going to make continue to progress and kind of push that a little bit. And I think this rookie class, particularly exciting as well.